Welcome to the real world. My name is Cameron, joined by Carson.
Carson here.
And we are ready to talk on episode 97 of the
97.
Real World
We're getting close to 100.
Super close.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
It's going to happen.
It's going to be a big one.
I'm excited because today we're talking about Muppets, which I love Muppets. We're big Muppets fans, both of us.
We're going to review and rank every Muppet movie.
Every theatrically released Muppet movie.
Correct.
We're not talking about no Christmas card. We're not talking about no Haunted Mansion.
No.
This is the theatrically released original Muppet films that we love.
Absolutely.
We're also talking about the Jim Henson documentary,
Idea Man,
that just came out on Disney+.
That's right.
Very excited to talk about that.
It's going to be fun.
We just finished watching it, so it's still fresh on the mind.
That's right. So let's jump in. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Real World Podcast. Make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified of all our videos. Today is a big episode, as we mentioned up top. Muppets. Right. It's a Muppet extravaganza.
Yes, Muppapalooza.
It's going to be great. So before we get into that, though, let's start with some movie news. All right, so first up in movie news
This is a Muppet News Flash.
There's unfortunately no Muppet news right now.
Pity. It's a pity.
Other than this documentary, which we're going to talk about in just a minute.
The Henson Company has their hands in all sorts of things.
They do, absolutely. Yeah. First up is a film series that I think the Muppets should be involved in.
Okay, what is it?
The Knives Out films.
Oh, that would be a great Muppet.
They just announced the third one.
Really?
It's called Wake Up Dead Man.
Wake Up Dead Man.
Wake Up Dead Man.
Okay, is that a song?
I don't know.
Interesting.
Sure. Yeah, they're all based on
breaking the formula. Ryan Johnson, the contrarian.
That's right.
Subverting our expectations.
Yes.
By giving us, what is it called? Waking the Dead? What is
Wake Up Dead Man.
Wake Up Dead Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, of course, Daniel Craig's back as Benoit Blanc. He's the only character that returns in all these.
That's right. Mr. Knives Out himself.
But they've got a pretty big all-star cast they've already set. Are you ready to hear some of these names?
I'm ready. Hopefully some of these are familiar names to me.
So we'll start off with the unfamiliar ones. Josh O'Connor, who was just in that movie with Zendaya, Challengers, the tennis movie.
Okay.
Callie Spaney, who we both enjoyed in Civil War this year.
Okay. Yeah. The young actress in Civil War.
She's also Priscilla, I think. Didn't you see Priscilla?
Priscilla.
I think she's in that.
Yes. Yep.
An actor we're both somewhat familiar with, Andrew Scott, who's shown up in several movies. He played Moriarty in the Sherlock series with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Okay, yeah, he's
really
great.
Like him as an actor.
Yep, very cool.
Kerry Washington is going to be in this. And then some of the bigger names include Glenn Close. Okay, I mean, Cruella de Vil from the live-action 100 Wild Dalmatians.
Sure.
People know her from Guardians. She plays Nova Prime.
Yep, Nova Prime.
We've got Mila Kunis in this as well.
Okay.
And the big get that we're really excited about, because his name comes up in Glass Onion.
Oh, really?
Jeremy Renner.
Really? Interesting.
Jeremy Renner has been cast. His first film since his incident.
That's right. Forgot about that. That big snowplow accident. It sounded terrible.
So I'm really excited about the cast. I'm a big fan of those movies. They're great murder mysteries, kind of in the Agatha Christie style.
Totally, yeah. And
big fan. Ryan Johnson's a great writer-director. So I'm very curious to see what the setting's going to be. It's always a new setting and a new mystery.
That's right.
So
at this point, it's all speculation.
Yeah.
So what do we have next?
Next up is the next Jurassic movie. Has also been doing some casting.
Here we go.
Okay. So
I just finished watching Jurassic World Chaos Theory.
Oh, right. Yeah.
The animated Netflix series.
What's going to happen next in this world?
Yeah, it's a sequel to the Camp Cretaceous show.
Right.
Which I think is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Not many hints and directions. It's kind of an in-betweenquel. It takes place right before Dominion.
Oh, before Dominion.
Yeah, before Dominion, but right after Fallen Kingdom. So there are dinosaurs that are kind of implemented into human society, but it's still new. So no plot details for the future of the Jurassic trilogy. But Chaos Theory was pretty good.
Okay. Well, we've got some cast members here. A couple I haven't heard of. Manuel Garcia Ruffalo.
Okay.
Jonathan Bailey. Rupert Friend, who we know, he's been in several things. He just played the Grand Inquisitor in Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Oh, okay. Sure.
So he's going to be in it. Scarlett Johansson has joined the Jurassic
Very
franchise.
Nice.
And now Blade himself, Mahershala Ali, the new Blade for
That's
the MCU, is going to
man who should have been Blade 4 years ago.
Absolutely. And, of course, David Koepp is coming back to write.
Okay.
And directing this film is the creator-director Gareth Edwards.
Really? Oh, okay,
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
He did Godzilla.
Awesome. He just did Creator, which was really fun.
That's what I just said.
Oh, you did?
The creator
I thought you said
director.
Godzilla.
I said the creator-director.
Oh, creator-director. I
yeah.
thought you meant that he created and directed Godzilla.
Yeah, no.
Oh, director
Did not
of
create any
creator.
of this. Yeah, director of the creator.
Correct. Very confusing terminology. He also did Rogue One, famously.
He did Rogue One, of course. And Monsters, which still might be his best movie.
I haven't seen Monsters.
You haven't seen Monsters?
No, I haven't
You
seen
gotta
it.
watch Monsters. That's what gives me hope for this. Watch Monsters and you're like, this guy could make a great Jurassic movie.
Okay.
That's why he got Godzilla, because they were like, oh,
Yeah,
Monsters,
sure.
obviously. So, anyways, check that out. Another bit of casting news. Nicholas Galitzine has been cast as He-Man in the
Okay.
live-action Masters of the Universe film from the director of Kubo and the Two Strings and Bumblebee, Travis Knight, who is behind Leica.
Interesting
Yeah.
that the Bumblebee guy is doing this.
Another 80s property.
80s nostalgia
Right.
rip. We've already had a Masters of the Universe movie
From the 80s.
from the 80s.
Notoriously awful.
Is this going to be a sequel to that?
No.
Because
it's a reboot.
Skeletor will return was the tease at the end of that movie. So
Not happening.
Not happening.
Tying in with the 80s crossover stuff, you know, our next big Transformers movie is a crossover with G.I. Joe.
that's right.
That's what was set up at the end of
That's
Rise
right.
of the Beast.
I heard that that Michael Bay is producing that.
Michael Bay is producing, which is fine. I mean, he's produced a lot of these.
Yeah, of
As
course.
long as he doesn't direct, it'll be fine. But supposedly Chris Hemsworth is going to be the lead.
Oh, really?
Chris Hemsworth is who
Interesting.
they're courting.
Isn't he voicing Optimus
He's
Prime?
voicing Optimus Prime in Transformers 1.
in Transformers 1, the animated
The
show.
animated movie.
Animated
which
movie.
is a prequel. It's a young Optimus.
It's a prequel. Is it connected to...
I don't think it's connected to anything.
Interesting.
I
This
think
is-
he's
this
playing,
is-
I
this
think
is an
he's
odd
play-
choice.
I think he's playing Duke. I think he's going to play Duke.
That'd be
I think
cool.
he'd actually be a good fit for Duke.
Sure.
He's got the right tone. I feel like Hemsworth has found like this
He has that action comedy,
action comedy thing.
kind of a
Right.
90s Schwarzenegger
Yes,
energy.
100%.
So, yeah.
I think it'll work. All right, so this is it. Now we are jumping into the Muppets. That's
right.
why we're here.
All Muppets
We're here
all
to
the
talk
time.
about Muppets. Jim Henson. It's going to be great.
Yep, I'm excited.
So
Let's talk first about the
Yeah,
documentary
we just
that we
finished
watched.
watching it. Jim Henson, Idea Man. This is on
Idea
Disney
Man.
Plus right now. You can stream this documentary. It's about an hour and a half.
Yeah, I think it was
And,
it was super short.
It was easy to watch.
It was easy to watch. It was really fun. It got emotional. It's going to get emotional.
Definitely got emotional a couple times. It's directed by Ron Howard, which I didn't know.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
He did a great job directing it. Hence the-
Ron Howard is a jack of all trades.
he can do
Okay.
anything. Man.
He can direct any kind of movie.
He can do it
It's
all.
amazing. He
It's
did,
crazy.
what was it? What it was, 13
13
hours?
Lives.
13 Lives.
He's done.
Fantastic.
He did Solo.
Solo, yeah.
He did Willow.
He's a chameleon.
He can
It's-
do it.
it's
He can
amazing.
do it all.
Truly.
You're right.
It's fantastic.
So he did a great
Yeah,
job with
this
this
is a great
documentary.
documentary. We loved it.
Yeah, we're huge Jim Henson fans.
For sure.
Huge Muppet fans.
Yep.
And they did a great job of telling a story linearly, very
Mhm.
easy to follow.
Yeah.
But very
Now, there's a
interesting
lot
to watch.
left out here. There's a
Oh, sure. I
sprawling
mean, of course.
history with the Henson Company,
Oh, sure.
with movies and other projects that they helped
Oh,
work
yeah.
on, with
They don't cover
technologies
it
that
all,
they
right.
pioneered.
But they cover a lot.
This is mostly about Henson himself,
Henson the man.
his actual life.
The man behind the Muppets.
Exactly.
This is, it covers where he was born, how he grew up, what his family life was like.
Yeah.
All of it.
For sure.
All of his children are interviewed.
That's right.
Which was great.
That's right.
Of course, the great Frank Oz, his frequent collaborator.
Of course.
Was interviewed, and
Yes.
Those are some of my favorite
The
moments.
Fozzie to his Kermit.
Absolutely. So, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's an easy watch. It has tons of information.
For
Well,
sure.
I learned a lot. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so, if you're a Muppet fan, if you're a fan of just creative minds,
Mhm.
again, it's called Idea Man because this
Yeah.
guy was just full of crazy creative ideas.
Yeah.
Very innovative. He loved the technical side. He loved the creative side. He loved all of it. He did it all.
Yeah, it's
Jack of all
rare. It's a rare
trades.
quality that you
It is,
find
yep.
in some of these visionary filmmakers.
mhm.
We've talked a lot about George Lucas
Oh, sure.
and how
yeah.
he's kind of one of these people who is technical and is also creative
Right.
and figures out a way to combine those worlds in interesting ways.
Mhm.
Jim Henson, I think, is even more so a creative
true.
in his sense of humor and the
Very
technologies that they
fun, yeah.
pioneered with
Right.
all of the Henson Company and
Mhm.
their amazing radio-powered animatronics that they pioneered in the 70s and 80s.
Yep.
I mean, it's really phenomenal.
It is.
The amount
It is.
of things that were accomplished
Mm-hmm.
by Henson and his team. And he's such a creative. Like I said, he has such a great sense of humor.
He does, for sure. There was so much there. Yeah, we laughed several times throughout this.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there were so many great moments that showed his all sides of him.
Right.
You know, you really get to
He's
know
kind of
about
a
him.
reserved, quiet person.
Correct.
But the Muppets is his expression of
he calls Kermit his alter ego.
Exactly.
Because he kind of gets to let loose a little bit
Right.
when he's playing Kermit.
Right,
So
right.
it was great. It was well worth watching.
Definitely.
I'm glad I watched it. Again, if you're a fan of the Muppets, or even if you're really not, I'd say check it out.
If you're interested in special effects or filmmaking at all, yeah.
Absolutely.
The Henson Company
did some revolutionary things.
Definitely.
So highly recommend it. I give it 4 stars. I mean,
sure.
I'd recommend it to anybody.
It was very good.
And everybody. So check it out again. Now it's playing on Disney Plus. But now it's time to talk Muppets.
That's right.
Now we're getting into the Muppet movie. So we're going to review every Muppet movie, every theatrically released Muppet movie, and then we're going to rank them at the end. Okay? You ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. We're going to kick things off with The Muppet Movie, released June 22nd, 1979. Budget of $8 million. Ended up grossing $65.2 million.
Pretty amazing.
Huge hit. This is, of course, when the Muppets were at the height of their powers.
Now, can I just say,
The Muppet Show was out.
It's phenomenal.
Everyone went nuts over this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Culture shock.
For sure.
It was crazy. This movie only cost $8 million to make.
Yeah, that's it.
It's shocking.
That's it. I know.
It's shocking.
I know. This is a low budget film now.
We just got The Marvels.
Yeah,
which cost $200 million
right.
to make.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And unimaginable.
To think about.
Yeah, obviously this is 70s dollars, but still,
sure.
Yeah, $8 million is nothing today.
Nothing.
And
independent films cost more.
Exactly. And the Muppet movie looks like a real movie. It doesn't look like a student film. It doesn't look like a small indie thing.
We've got it on the background right now.
Yeah.
Because it's a classic.
It's fantastic. It's just well made.
It's very well made. Very classic story. It's the origin of the Muppets. You know, it's their own fictionalized origin story.
Very 70s.
It's very 70s, absolutely. The cars, the fashion.
The music.
The cameos, galore. This kind of sets up, like, what is a Muppet movie? Like, this has never happened before. But people knew the Muppet Show. They had a show.
There's a stage.
Variety
it's
show.
A controlled environment.
They bring in some big famous person.
Sure.
And they do, you know, funny stuff with them and sing songs.
Right.
So it's a musical. But what's different about this is it's a road movie.
Right.
This is the first time they brought them out of the studio. And look, Kermit and Fozzie are driving a car.
That's right.
I mean, it's crazy.
They're in cars. They're on location. Their full bodies are walking around riding bikes. And
dude, the bike shot, it still might be the most amazing special effect I've ever seen.
It's fantastic. Every time I look at it,
I still don't understand.
I can't fathom it. And it's only topped in some of the later movies, really.
Right.
It's amazing. It's amazing. What was accomplished here in the Muppet movie, it's phenomenal.
It's absolutely
nothing short of magical.
Wonderful. It's so good. Huge fan of this film. It has a great villain. Doc Hopper.
Doc Hopper. His famous frog legs.
He's so good in this. Rainbow Connection, of course, is still among the best movie songs of all time, I think.
Now, this is, like we said, it's a very 70s movie. A lot of dated jokes. A lot of things that are very much a product of its time.
Sure.
But I think because it is so distinctly 70s,
that's it.
It makes it timeless.
That's it.
It's
just like Back to the Future is so 80s that it's timeless. This is so 70s that it's timeless.
Right, exactly.
It's great. So a really big fan of this film. Again, I like the story of the origin of how the Muppets all met each other.
Right.
It's kind of fun. The framing of the narrative is Kermit's invited them all to the lot for a screening. Which is also fun. So it's a heartfelt film. It's a road movie. It's a musical. It's a comedy. It's an adventure. Tons of fun. So,
and if you've never seen a Muppet movie, this is a great place to start.
It is absolutely. Even for younger audiences who aren't going to get the 70s references and stuff, they'll still get a lot out of this.
Definitely.
My little ones were watching it the other day, and they were just riveted by the whole thing. They were just blown away by it. So
yeah, it's terrific. I give it 4 stars. I like it a lot.
I think I'm at 4.5.
4.5?
Honestly, this is a really good movie.
It is really good.
It's really fun to watch. It's easy to watch. Like I said, Rainbow Connection alone
Yeah,
That song is iconic
it
in a
is.
way that few other songs are.
Absolutely.
So for that, it was also selected in 2009 by the Library of Congress for the National Film Registry.
Good.
So it's tucked away in the archives there, which is good. And it's only 95 minutes. That's another thing about these movies that I love. They're all at that 90-minute sweet spot.
Yep.
Love it. They don't overstay the
So
welcome.
fun to watch.
Check out the Muppet movie. Let us know what you think of it in the comments below. But now we're moving on to the second film. That film, by the way, was not directed by Jim Henson. It was directed by a guy named James Frawley.
That's right.
Who had a little bit more experience directing. But the second film is titled The Great Muppet Caper, and this is Jim Henson's directorial debut. So he directed this film himself.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You can kind of tell the difference when you watch the two back to back.
Sure.
Because this is shot much more like the Muppet Show. There's a lot more shots that are static, that are staged.
Yep.
In a way that a Muppet segment would be.
Right.
But it doesn't lose those wow moments.
Yeah, it still has. I like this movie because it's like this kind of heist caper thing, right?
Sure.
So it has a lot of like a lot more noirish, almost like dark, shadowy scenes, you know?
Sure.
So it sets us apart because the first one's very colorful. It's one thing I like about it too. Absolutely. It's very colorful. The second one, though, it has a different visual style, which I found to be pretty compelling and pretty cinematic.
Yeah, and it's more of a distinct trying to do a genre, trying to kind of spoof a genre. That's the thing that Muppets does really well is you put them in an environment.
Yeah.
And they're the chaotic element
exactly.
that mixes up the status quo.
Right.
So yeah, it's a terrific movie. They take the biking miracle of the first movie to the extreme here.
Now Miss Piggy's on a motorcycle.
And every Muppet is riding a bike.
Muppet's riding
and they're riding around in circles, and they're doing all kinds of tricks.
And the mind blower for me here, was Miss Piggy swimming.
Miss Piggy swimming. That's right.
There's an entire musical sequence, an entire song where she's singing while she's swimming in a pool.
Yeah, with
synchronized swimmers.
Yeah.
I still don't get it. I don't get how it happened.
I don't know.
How does it work?
That's the magic of the Muppets.
It's totally magical.
They're so clearly puppets.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they're doing things puppets can't do.
Exactly.
And that's what makes it so magical and just gets you into the characters so much because they're so cartoony and silly and fun and larger than life.
Right.
And it's easy to just brush them off, but when you're really watching, they do things that are just amazing.
They really do.
You just can't
It's incredible.
Imagine.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
This one came out June 26, 1981. It did have a much higher budget, 14 million. Grossed a little bit lower, 31.2 million. Runtime is 97 minutes. I don't find this one as memorable. I still enjoy it. I still like this movie. I don't think it's quite hits as hard. I don't think the songs are as memorable.
Sure.
As the first film. I do like the unique locations in Europe. You know, that's fun to see them kind of out of their element there. Yeah. So I think just maybe, I don't know, a tighter script, tighter editing.
Sure.
There is some good character development with like Miss Piggy and Kermit.
Yeah. What's interesting is this movie has a lot of elements that are used later in some of the newer Muppet movies.
It's true.
That's really interesting. So
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is another 4-star film.
Really?
Honestly. Okay. I just because it's so wowing to me.
Yeah. There are several wow moments.
Several. And it's still so funny. It just maintains their sense of humor well.
It does.
The Happiness Hotel is just the best.
It's a great moment.
It's so good. That whole place where everyone lives.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
To me, it's just not quite as compelling. I go lower. I go about 3.5 on this one. So not too much lower, but it's just not, it's not quite on the level of the first one for me. But let's move on to the next one. All right, so next up we have The Muppets Take Manhattan. This one released July 13th, 1984. Budget of $8 million, gross $25.5 million, runtime of 94 minutes. Now Frank Oz comes in to direct.
That's right.
So Jim Henson's buddy Frank Oz is taking the reins, and he's going to direct the movie. Just before this, they co-directed The Dark Crystal.
That's right.
We'll do a whole Dark Crystal episode one day.
Of course.
But, they co-directed that. Then Frank Oz takes the reins here. I think this one has really great storytelling, great character development. Again, they're in a different environment. It's New York City this time.
Yes.
And the production design is great. They're obviously, not actually in New York City. They're, creating this on a set. but it's very convincing.
Mm-hmm.
So there, to me, there's less on location shooting here,
Yeah.
which is why the budget is lower.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still really compelling. The story wise, it's very compelling, and the
Definitely.
songs I think are better than the second film
Sure.
too.
Sure.
So there's some really great musical numbers here, big production.
Mm-hmm.
It feels big at least.
Yeah, it feels very theatrical. It
It
feels
does.
very
It
much,
does.
it leans into
Yep.
that
Yep.
musical Broadway
Yeah.
show because it's in New
100%.
York, obviously.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, and that's really charming.
Yeah.
It's very fitting for the Muppets.
It is. It is. So great costumes, great job by the cast. The performances are all very good.
Mm-hmm.
And it introduced the Muppet Babies. For the first
That's
time,
right.
we got
That's
the Muppet
right.
Babies in this movie.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Which has become a whole thing.
Oh yeah.
So, big fan of Muppets Take Manhattan. I think it's underrated. Not a lot of
Okay.
people talk about this one.
Okay.
Although it did just get a 4K release,
Oh,
which is pretty
interesting.
cool.
That's very cool.
So I want to pick it up.
Yeah.
On
This
4K
this one's
because I really like
shockingly not streaming right now.
I know it's weird.
Very
Yeah,
strange.
very strange. So, that was Muppets Take Manhattan. That one I give about 4 stars.
Okay, this one I give 3.5.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Again, I
Go a
think
little
it
bit lower.
I think it's kind of treading water. It's kind of doing things we've seen the Muppets do
Okay.
before.
Yeah, that
I
makes
mean, I
sense.
think it's done very well.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't have that wow factor, I think,
Okay.
that some of the others do. So
Gotcha. Now we're moving on, jumping several years ahead to 1992. December 11th of 1992, they released The Muppet Christmas Carol. Now, this was 2 years after Jim Henson had passed away,
mm-hmm.
and now his son, Brian Henson, is directing this film. This is his directorial debut, and this is fantastic. This
Absolutely.
is a fantastic film we watch every year.
It's a classic.
It's a classic film. It really is.
It's really my favorite rendition of the Christmas Carol.
I totally agree. I totally agree. Charles Dickens' novel has never been better adapted to film
That's right.
than it is here.
Yes.
And it's due to the fact that so this is the first time we have a Muppet
Mhm.
story that's in someone else's world, kind of.
Right.
Right. It's like combining the world of Charles Dickens and Jim Henson.
Sure. Which the Muppets kind of became known for after this for a little while.
Right, right. It's really interesting because this is the first one produced by Disney.
Okay.
And so slightly higher budget, 12 million, gross 27, 86-minute runtime. It's nice and tight. They eventually would acquire the Muppets in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
But Disney's kind of helping produce this, and it has a great kind of mix of that classic storytelling.
Yep.
This tried and true story that everyone knows.
Very faithful.
And it's very faithful to it, but mixed with that Muppet zaniness.
That's right.
You know, it's like it's a perfect mix of the two.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't go too far into the silliness to where you lose the dramatic side of it.
There's a part where Gonzo literally says, "I'm out."
Yeah.
This scene needs to play out.
Right.
So I'll see you guys after the scene.
Gonzo and Rizzo are the perfect narrators of this tale.
Yeah.
You know, they're kind of framing the whole thing, and
this is really I mean, within the universe of the Muppets, within their lore, kind of, they are actors. They're performers.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So this is one of their performances, one of their stage shows.
Right.
Is them performing the Charles Dickens, novel movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's the same with you watch the original Muppet movie. It opens with them in the studio,
ready to watch the screening.
At the first screening,
right?
Yeah. So it's like this is clearly we know it's a movie,
right? Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like that Kermit's playing a character. He's not Kermit. I like the same with Fozzie and Piggy.
Yep.
You know,
mm-hmm.
They're playing characters in the story. They're not just being themselves, throwing chaos everywhere. It's a little different for Muppet movies, especially at the time.
Yes.
And yeah, Michael Caine. He might be the greatest Scrooge we've ever had.
Michael Caine. Not only is he the greatest Scrooge we've ever had. Let me take it a step further. Not only is this the best performance of Michael Caine's entire career, in my opinion.
Type praise.
This might be one of the best film performances I've ever seen.
Wow. I'm
not kidding. This is so good.
A bold claim.
This is so good.
It's very good.
The performance is so nuanced.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly what it needs to be. He's terrible at the beginning.
Yep.
But you come to love him.
Yeah.
And you come to root for him.
For sure.
And the ending just hits so hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect. It's a perfect performance.
I totally agree. It's very emotional.
Yeah. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's such a good movie. The songs are great. Even the deleted song, which you can see now on Disney Plus.
That's right.
The extended version. It's not full of cameos. You know, like you said, it changes the formula a
Yeah,
lot. It's
yeah.
not full of these celebrity
It's much more
cameos and
focused.
all
It's
that.
much more focused as a story.
Very focused. Very
Yeah.
focused. I really appreciate it.
I give this
So
four and a
yeah,
half stars.
uh, five
I'm
stars.
I'm
5 stars.
I'm right on the verge of giving it
5
five.
stars for me.
I'm
Five
really
stars.
tempted to. I'm
It's a
really tempted
perfect
to give
film.
it. It might be a perfect film. It might
It
be.
is. It's great. Let's move along to 1996, February 16th, 1996. $31 million budget, $47 million gross. So this was a big hit. 100-minute runtime, making it the longest Muppet movie at this time. Muppet Treasure Island. So they went back to the adaptation
That's right.
took the Robert Louis Stevenson story
Yep.
and said, you know what? Let's do it again. You know? And so they jump in. This is the first Muppet film I ever saw.
Okay.
So this one is close to home for me.
Okay.
First, this is my introduction to the Muppets. Never heard of the Muppets.
Great.
Didn't know who the Muppets were.
Yeah.
And I watched this movie at a friend's house, and that was it.
It's very good.
Solidified
It's
my
very
love
fun.
of the Muppets.
Yeah.
It's super fun. It's it's just I love the songs. The songs are so catchy.
They are. They are.
They're so catchy. They're so
Yeah.
good. And I'm a huge fan of any kind of seafaring pirate
Yeah,
type
there's something
film.
about pirates in cinema that really just
It works so well.
go together super,
It
super
works
well.
so well. And to add the Muppets into that
Mm-hmm.
is just sublime.
Sure.
I enjoy every moment of this. I really do.
Yeah,
I enjoy it
I
all.
really like it all the way through.
The opening's so good. The opening with Billy Connolly as Billy Bones.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's such a memorable character. He's so good in this role.
Yeah.
He's on screen for maybe 5 minutes, but he's great. You never forget Billy Bones the whole movie.
Yeah.
And long after you've seen the movie.
Yeah.
So
The
it's great.
Muppets just has such a great witty sense of humor.
Right.
Yeah. This is just so entertaining.
It is. It's very entertaining. Another great actor here is Tim Curry as Long John Silver.
Yeah.
I mean, he's basically a Muppet himself. I mean, he's so charismatic.
Yeah.
He's so, charming, and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
he's got the big performance. It's just very theatrical, very over the top, but it totally fits.
Yeah.
And another thing, just like Christmas Carol, they get right, is that relationship between Long John Silver and Jim Hawkins. And the Muppets, one thing people might complain about in this movie, and I could understand, is that the Muppets almost take a backseat to the human story.
That's what I was going to say. That was going to be my biggest complaint, is the Muppets feel oddly out of place in the story.
Right.
Whereas in Christmas Carol, Muppets are so integrated into the story, you don't even think about Muppets.
Scrooge, I think, is the only human in that whole film.
Well, yeah. Well, there are
the Muppet world.
Yeah. There are other humans. But yeah.
But they're few and far between.
It's pretty focused on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't even think twice about Muppets being a thing. But in this, it kind of feels a little out of place. They're not really serving the story as well as they could. So for a couple of those reasons, I give this one like a 3 or a 3.5.
Okay. Well, I'm not at 5 stars on this.
Yeah.
I'm at 4 though. Okay. I'm at 4. I really like this movie. I still have a lot of fun with it. It's not the best, but it's really, really good. It's really fun. It's scary at times too.
Sure.
There's a couple of chilling moments. You go, whoa.
Yeah. For sure.
So
but it's still very funny.
It's very funny. There's so many great gags in it. Sight gags. The sword fighting Muppets too. We'd never seen sword fighting Muppets.
That's right.
That was great. So big fan of Treasure Island, but let's move on to the next one. All right, next up we have Muppets from Space.
That's right.
Released July 14th, 1999. $24 million budget. Grossed $22 million. So this was not a hit.
Not a hit.
This is why the Muppets went away for over a decade.
That's right.
It's directed by Tim Miller.
Okay.
Who, at the point of directing this, hadn't done anything. He had made a short film. And the short film was good enough for them to give him the keys to the Muppets.
Interesting.
But he ended up going on to direct movies like Max Keeble's Big Move.
Okay.
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yep.
Hop. Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties.
That's right.
But
that's classics.
He's most well known for his work on SpongeBob.
Oh, okay.
He's one of the head writers and developers of the SpongeBob series.
That's fascinating.
And he's directed 2 of the SpongeBob movies.
That's right.
So, very interesting filmmaker. It's kind of a bonkers idea.
It is.
But I kind of love it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in on this because this is the movie I had not seen until I think last year was the first time I ever watched this.
Yeah.
This was like the one that got away. I heard it was the worst one. I watched it. I kind of like it.
I like
I
it
kind
too.
of like it. It's a
It
bonkers
has a lot of
idea, but
charm.
it's fun.
And I think that what deters a lot of people from really enjoying this is it's so Gonzo focused.
It's Gonzo's story.
It's Gonzo's whole
100%.
story.
Yes, 100%.
And Gonzo, to me, is a terrific supporting character.
Yeah.
He's a terrific comic relief.
Right.
He's used, I think, the best in Christmas Carol, where
Yeah.
he kind of comes
He's
in,
Charles
narrates,
Dickens.
he kind of breaks things up a little bit, you
Right.
know. But to me, it's just too much in this. It's
Little
too
too much.
overbearing.
Yeah.
We're too focused on
Right.
him. All the other Muppets kind of fade in the background.
Yeah.
There's some really fun sci-fi references.
Well, if you're a sci-fi fan, that's what I think we probably get a lot out of it.
Sure.
Because we like a lot of sci-fi.
Yeah.
And we've seen a lot of sci-fi, old sci-fi. And yeah, they're referencing a lot of stuff throughout the whole film. I mean, little things that you don't know, you would never know.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's just lacking, I think, a little bit of substance, a little bit of heart.
I agree. Yeah, I was watching it last night. I rewatched it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, man, if this ending had hit a little bit harder, this would have been a much better film.
Sure.
The ending doesn't really hit.
Yeah, and it's kind of strange. The inciting incident, Gonzo kind of feeling like an outsider, like
the Noah's Ark scene.
That's never, yeah. It's never really been a part of his character in any of the other films,
right?
It's never been like
it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, yeah. It's just kind of like exists for this story only,
right?
Which is odd because this isn't, again, it's not really adapting anything. The Muppets aren't; they're all playing themselves.
It's going back to that earlier Muppet thing of like, what is a Muppet movie?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like we want to do a sci-fi spoof now.
Right.
But we're not doing like The Day the Earth Stood Still featuring the Muppets.
Yeah.
It's its own story about the Muppets. And so yeah, it just doesn't quite fully come together. But like I said,
like I think it could have
some great effects too.
Right.
That I think we should mention.
Definitely. It would have been weird if this was adapting some kind of sci-fi story like Muppet Dune or
see, I would pay to watch.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Or something like Robinson Crusoe on Mars with the Muppets or something like that.
That's a odd reference right there. Yeah. Now I know what that is. That's good. I like that. I like that you know that movie.
Or even John Carter. Like a John Carter Muppets thing would be
absolutely.
But it's interesting. Gonzo of Mars. Gonzo to Mars.
Two Gonzo, two Mars.
Two Gonzo. Now that's a movie I'd pay to see. A Fast and Furious Muppets movie.
That would be fun.
That'd be amazing because they're all about family.
All about it.
They're all about family.
That's what this movie ultimately is about.
And they're all about cars, really. From the first Muppet movie, the car is like the big
cars
thing.
all the time.
Do it. Make it happen, Vin.
Come on, Vin.
Yeah.
Family.
Yeah. Let the Muppets join your family, Vin.
Please. All right, so like I said, Muppets went away for many years after this. Like I said, after the
what's your star rating on Muppets from
I think it's 3.5.
Yeah.
One of the lower ranked.
I give this one actually 2.5. I think it's a very middle of the road movie.
Okay.
I don't think it does anything amazing. I don't think it does anything terrible.
Okay.
Give it a heater. Right down the middle.
Right down the middle. All right. Well, we're moving on to the post-Disney era.
That's right.
So, like I said, Disney acquired the Muppets characters in 2004. Started working on bringing them back, and of course, they have the Muppet Vision 3D at Disney World, which we've enjoyed many times.
Yep, for sure.
But eventually they found some young filmmakers who were big fans of the Muppets and were ready to bring them back.
That's right.
So on November 23rd, 2011, we got a film titled The Muppets.
And this was my introduction to the Muppets.
This was yours, okay.
In my recollection, this is when I became a Muppet fan.
Okay.
Was after seeing this movie.
Yeah. So $45 million budget.
Yep.
$165.2 million gross, the highest grossing Muppet movie to date.
They made a big comeback with this.
103-minute runtime. To me, it's one of the best reboot / legacy sequels ever made.
Big time.
It's so good.
I totally agree. Yeah.
James Bobbin came in to direct. He, I think, co-wrote with Jason Segel, who stars in the film.
That's right.
Both huge Muppet fans. They totally understand these characters.
Absolutely.
They get the characters, they get the world, they get the messaging, they get what Henson was all about. The creativity, the humor.
Yep.
All of it. It just all came together.
Yeah, and modernized it.
And modernized
in a way
it, sure.
that
but didn't modernize it
but it feels so natural.
Yes,
It feels like a natural growth for the character. Took them out of the 70s, out of the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
This isn't an adaptation. We're doing just a Muppet movie, and it is such a great example of meta postmodern filmmaking. Because it's very self-aware of itself.
Definitely.
It's constantly poking fun at itself. This is what I was talking about earlier with Muppets Take Manhattan. There's a lot of self-referential jokes in that movie.
Sure.
Of like, this is going to be a short movie. This is, whatever. Right. And that's kind of always been a wink and nod thing that the Muppets do. But here it's really like part of the story, part of the characters is, let's get the Muppets back together again. The plot's very straightforward. This is a very colorful film.
Oh, yeah.
It's got a star-studded cast. Amy Adams. I mean, come on.
The multi-talented Amy Adams.
That's right.
I mean, she can do anything. She's one of my favorite actresses ever because she's always so believable in her roles.
Yeah.
She's so talented as far as her just able to bring out emotion. She can play the humor, but also play the dramatic.
Right.
She can sing, she can dance. I mean, she does it all. It's
absolutely
pretty amazing.
Yeah, you're right.
Jason Segel too, I gotta say. He's great in this.
Totally.
He's really good. You can tell how passionate he is about this. They introduced a new Muppet named Walter.
That's right. We love Walter.
Walter is the audience surrogate.
He's such a sweetheart. He's kind of you know what?
Fan. He's the fan.
After watching this documentary, he's a lot like Jim Henson.
He kind of is.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's true.
He's a lot like real Jim Henson.
Yeah,
what he was really like.
It's kind of quiet and subdued.
Quiet, subdued, subtle, but excited.
But he has
a passion for the Muppets. Has a passion for what he does. Kind of becomes more of a kid whenever he's at work. So. Definitely. Yeah, really cool movie.
It's great.
I love the Muppets.
Chris Cooper, we got to mention as Tex Richmond.
Of course.
I mean, he's right up there with Doc Hopper for the best villain of the series.
That's right.
I mean, he's great.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
I mean, Chris Cooper, who's like...
He's an evil oil baron.
He's known as this, like, hard-edged dramatic actor.
Yeah.
And they bring him into the Muppets.
That's right.
And he has that. But he can be so silly.
Oh, yeah.
And he really gets in on the silliness, which is so much fun to watch.
It is.
So he's great in it. Tons cameos galore.
That's
Zach
right.
Galifianakis. Selena Gomez.
Hobo Joe. Can't get enough Hobo Joe. Everybody forgets about Hobo Joe.
Dave Grohl. Alan Arkin. Donald Glover. So many. I mean, Mickey Rooney shows up in this for a half a second.
That's right.
But he's in it. And then the best cameo in the film. He's almost a co-star. Jack Black.
He's a major character.
He's a major character.
Yeah.
And he's playing himself.
That's right.
Which is great.
Jack Black. He's at like a anger management class. Yes. It's hilarious.
It's so good. Anger management class with Animal.
Right.
Which is
so drummer.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh man. Fantastic. More great effects. What they're doing with the Muppets are things that we've never seen.
Yeah, there's more computer stuff in this.
Of course, there is, but it's not overdone.
No, and
where you can notice it,
and it's
where
integrated. It's integrated, I think, appropriately.
Definitely,
where it's not constant or anything.
Absolutely,
it definitely doesn't have the tactile, made on the run feel of the older Muppet movies.
Sure,
it's not as edgy necessarily.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite as witty either.
Sure,
but it definitely has. A heart and an appeal and a friendly, kind-hearted nature that I just think is really great.
Yeah, I agree.
This is a 5-star film.
It's another 5-star film. I agree. Ben McKenzie's "Man or Muppet" song.
That's right.
Might be the best song of the entire.
Did it win an
franchise. Oscar? Got an Oscar.
Good.
Well deserved.
Well deserved.
So just a very unique, very original story. Perfect ending. Very well done. Next up, we have Muppets Most Wanted, released March 21st, 2014. Budget of $50 million, making it the biggest budget of any Muppet movie to date.
That's right.
Grossed $80.4 million. So it was not a huge hit.
Not a big success.
That's why we haven't had a Muppet movie since. It's been 10 years.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years with no Muppet movies.
Yeah. And that's sad.
Kind of crazy.
We should get a Muppet movie every half decade.
Every 5 years.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But Most Wanted, let's talk about it because we've seen Most Wanted a lot.
Yeah, we have.
Our younger brother loves the Muppet movies.
Yep.
We saw the original Muppet movie dozens of times.
The 2011 one.
Yeah, gladly.
Yeah.
Because I love that film.
Sure.
Most Wanted I don't like as much.
No.
I think it has a lot of weaknesses as a film.
Yeah.
But I have a soft spot for it.
Do you?
I really like Constantine. I think
See,
Constantine is
yeah.
such a funny idea.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think it kind of works.
Do you really?
I know a lot of people hate Constantine.
I don't think it works.
He's not my problem with the movie. My problem with the movie is Kermit and the rest of the Muppets.
Really?
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Because there's basically no Muppets in this movie. It's all Constantine and it's all like Sam the Eagle and cameos.
It's a lot of cameos.
Yeah.
Way too many cameos.
It's weird.
It's basically all cameos. That's all I remember really from it. It's just like, oh yeah, there's that guy in it. Oh, that guy's in it?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot that person was in it.
It's so weird because it starts so strong.
It does.
The way that movie opens, it's the Muppets again,
Mhm.
and they're making fun of sequels, and that's the whole thing is we're gonna spoof sequels.
Yeah.
And then it isn't that.
No.
Like that sets the tone of what the movie's gonna be
Mhm.
with that first opening song that's hilarious and great.
Right.
So excited to see these characters do more stuff. And then Kermit's separated from the Muppets for the rest of the movie, and the Muppets are just like haphazardly on a world tour while a villain like coerces them into doing stuff who's obviously evil. Right. And it's funny because they don't. It's just so weird.
It's a very silly story, very outlandish.
Yeah.
Very just
which
it doesn't connect.
Could work for a Muppet thing.
Sure, it could.
But there's just not enough Muppet here. You know what I mean?
Not at all.
It's weird. I agree. It's really weird.
It is.
The idea was we're going to take the Muppets on world tour.
Yeah.
And we're going to spoof sequels. The sequels always go bigger and better.
The original title was The Muppets Again.
Hilarious.
It would have been perfect.
Yeah, it would have been awesome. That's the name of the opening song.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it. Now, again, a lot of people blame Constantine. I don't think Constantine's the problem. I think Constantine is really funny. The idea that there's a Muppet who looks just like Kermit except he has a mole. Yeah. And no one can distinguish him from Kermit. Right. If he like covers his mole up, that's hilarious.
Even though it sounds nothing like
he has a thick Russian accent. Right. He can barely even speak English. Yeah. He has stage fright. Right. Constantine, I like as a character, and I would love to see him in more Muppet stuff, honestly, because I think he works as a fun kind of foil to the Muppets. Okay. In the same way that
it's interesting to have a Muppet villain.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a Muppet villain in the first Muppet movie who was like that dragon guy, you know.
Oh, sure.
Remember him? And he's in Most Wanted. Most people forget.
Right.
And he's like a part of the Muppet team.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd love to see that happen for Constantine.
Right. So. Yeah, just kind of odd, kind of off for me. Funny moments are sparse throughout. Music is not memorable.
The Big House, I remember. I'll never forget The Big House. It's a good song.
Yeah, with Tina Fey. Yeah, that was okay. So, kind of forgettable for me. I didn't really remember.
Not like this.
I remember a lot about this one, honestly.
Yeah.
I didn't get to rewatch it and didn't really want to. Okay. Because I didn't have fond memories.
Yeah, like I said, it has a lot of problems, but I think it has some redeeming qualities. Okay. I give it 3 stars.
I'm at 2.5 on this.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the only one I give below 3. So, and I'm a huge Muppet fan, so I don't like doing that. So there it is. So, all right, folks, we've now reviewed every Muppet movie.
Now, for those of you who are wondering why we didn't do Muppet Haunted Mansion...
Yeah, like we said up
Muppet
top,
Christmas
those
Card.
are not theatrically released films.
Gotta be released in a theater.
Those are specials, direct to Disney Plus, don't count. So,
and also, Muppet Haunted Mansion is terrible.
Yeah,
another reason we didn't want to talk about it.
Not great.
The whole new, we got to talk about it for a second.
Okay.
The new wave of Muppet content that we've gotten recently.
The show and all that.
So it started with the Muppets ABC show, which was supposed to be like an adult Office parody with Muppets. I actually like it.
There's actually,
I think it's kind of funny.
I really enjoy.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
It has some moments that I really, that feels very Muppets.
Yeah,
you know?
For sure.
But it's still modern and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that show has some redeeming qualities.
It does.
But then they went into Muppets Mayhem, which was supposed to be like an Electric Mayhem show. Yeah. And it just did not work.
Didn't work.
It was so weird.
I'm a huge Electric Mayhem fan.
Yeah, it just didn't really... It didn't do what I wanted it to do. Again, there's not enough Muppets in that show.
Not at all.
It's so focused on the human characters and their plot lines. It gets so boring. And that's weird for a Muppets Mayhem movie to get boring.
Right.
Is a big problem.
It is.
And then we have Muppets Now, which is a whole travesty in and of itself. Of just like, because obviously the original voice actor for Kermit isn't back. It's a new guy who doesn't really sound like Kermit at all. So it's very obvious and kind of uncomfortable. and awkward to listen to
I don't
him.
even like us talking about it right now.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird, truly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Muppets Now it did nothing. So
yeah, it's been a
it's
big
sad.
letdown ever
It's
since
sad.
2011. We haven't really had a great Muppet anything.
Yeah.
The show is probably my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
The very short, I think it was one season.
Yeah.
Show, but yeah, hopefully in the future they can figure it out and get it back on track. But for now, that's it for our reviews for the Muppet movies. Now it's time to rank every Muppet movie from worst to best. Here we go. All right, so this is it, folks. We're ranking all the Muppet movies right now. Here we go. We're starting with number 8. There's 8 films.
That's right.
That's a lot.
8 theatrically released Muppet films. We're going to rank all of them right now. Here we go. Let's do it. What's your number 8, Cameron?
My number 8 is Muppets Most.
Oh, Most Wanted. Your number 8. Oh no,
it's the worst.
I know it's your least.
The worst Muppet movie.
That's your least favorite.
What's your worst? What's your least favorite?
My least favorite is Muppets from Space.
Okay,
it's because
that's my number 7.
It's because it's the one I don't ever want to rewatch. It's the one I've seen and I think is kind of funny, and I've had enough, and I'm done with it.
When I rewatched it, I liked it more.
Yeah.
I did.
Maybe I'll give it another chance.
Give it another shot.
But
you know what? I'll give Muppets Most Wanted another shot. You give Muppets from Space another shot.
All right, deal. Hey, it's on camera. There it is.
All right.
All right, number 7. What do we got?
I just said it's Muppets from Space.
Muppets from Space. Okay. Yours is Muppets from Space.
Great. What's your number?
Mine is Muppets in Manhattan. Muppets Take Manhattan.
Muppets Take Manhattan?
That's right.
Is that low?
It's relatively low.
Directed by the great Frank Oz.
I love all these films.
Come on.
I love all these films. But to me, this one just plays it a little too safe. It's just too by the numbers. It's too straightforward.
You need to rewatch it.
Maybe you're right.
Big things happen in this movie.
I'm sure you're right.
This is a cool movie. It's really good.
To me, it's just not one that's super memorable.
Okay.
It's not one that I really think about very often. Okay. So yeah, this one's number 7.
Hey, I'm gonna get that 4K edition. We're gonna rewatch it.
All right.
And you're gonna fall in love. It's gonna be your number 1. All right. Going to number 6. My number 6 is The Great Muppet Caper.
The Great Muppet Caper.
The great Jim Henson.
Interesting.
Creator of the Muppets. I like the film.
Okay.
I think it's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think it is as memorable as I want it to be. You know what I mean? It doesn't elevate the Muppets in any big way.
Sure.
It's unique setting, the European setting, the use of shadow and light is really cinematic and interesting.
Sure.
But it just doesn't have all those big memorable moments.
Okay.
When I think of the Muppets, this is one of the last ones I think.
Okay. All right.
So what do you have at 6?
My number 6 is Muppet Treasure Island.
Really?
Right.
Okay.
Like we talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
The Muppets kind of take a backseat to the story.
Sure.
They're not really integral and important to the plot very much. What you gonna do? It's Muppet Treasure Island. I mean, it's great. I like it. The songs are memorable.
Right.
But it's just not, to me personally, it's my number 6.
I got you. I understand. All right, so we're moving on to number 5 now.
This is it, our top 5.
That's where I have the Muppets Take Manhattan.
Muppets Take Manhattan. Okay.
Because again, I think it's really good.
Now this isn't the piggy swimming in the water.
No. That's Great Muppet Caper.
That's Muppet Caper.
That's
an amazing stunt.
Muppets Take Manhattan is, I'm telling you, you're gonna rewatch it and you're gonna be like, man,
all right.
What was I was missing out? What was I thinking? How did I do that? 4 stars for me. It's really good.
Wow, that's amazing.
So what do you have at 5?
My number 5 is Muppets Most Wanted.
Oh, Muppets Most Wanted at 5?
At 5.
Okay.
It's in my top 5. I think it has some great songs.
Okay.
I think it has some great moments with characters. Some really like funny situational humor. And I really like Constantine. What can I say?
Okay. I got you.
Not to mention Sam the Eagle in that whole movie.
Sure.
It's the best Sam the Eagle. It's the best Sam the Eagle movie.
He's always great. He's a long time been a favorite of mine. Personally.
Yeah. We get the best Sam the Eagle in this movie.
Debatable.
All
right, we're moving on to number 4.
Number 4.
And at number 4, I have the Muppet movie, the original.
The original 70s Muppet movie.
1979 Muppets.
Okay. All right.
It's great. It's a great film. It's wonderful. It's super enjoyable. It holds up.
Okay. All right. I get it.
Kermit on a bike still blows me away.
Kermit on a log. Kermit on a log in the middle of the water. How do you pull that off?
Very impressive.
You know they had to put Henson in a tube in a metal tube and put them underwater.
Watch the documentary. You can see footage of this.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Pretty insane. What do you have at number 4?
My number 4 is The Great Muppet Caper.
Oh, so you like this one quite a lot.
You want to talk about that bicycle stunt? Holy moly.
Take it to the next level.
Every Muppet on a bike, riding in circles. Crazy stuff you could never imagine.
It's probably the best bike sequence ever.
It's maybe the most incredible special effect I've ever seen.
Okay.
It might be the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Okay?
High praise.
It's phenomenal. It's fantastic. I know we're talking about puppets on bicycles here.
Yeah.
But I don't know how it's done. I don't even know how you would begin to do something like that. I can't imagine.
It doesn't make any sense.
Phenomenal. It's my number 4. What's your number 3?
At number 3, I have The Muppet Treasure Island.
Okay. High praise. This is a classic for you.
See, for me, again, it's my introduction to this world.
I get it.
This is magic. This is I've never seen anything like this when I first saw it.
Yeah.
It's
so funny.
It's so funny. Speaking of Sam the Eagle, he's great in this.
He is.
Has a great role.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Piggy's great in this. Kermit. I mean, I love all the roles they each play. They're perfectly cast.
Yeah. You're right.
Part,
You're right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The young actor who plays Jim is great. Tim Curry. This still might be my favorite Tim Curry performance ever. I think he's great at it. He's so likable, yet he can be so villainous.
For sure.
It's a great... The Treasure Island story I'm a fan of.
Yeah.
First of all.
Mm-hmm.
So you do that with Muppets, you got me.
You got him.
All right.
All right.
So what do you have at 3?
My number 3 is The Muppet Movie.
The original. Okay.
The original Muppet movie.
Okay.
Is my number 3.
Okay.
It's a classic.
It is.
It has so many great segmented sequences.
Right.
Where it's almost like a skit and a sketch.
It makes sense because it's a road movie. So they're traveling and they land at this place. And they're with the
it's a really smart way to do a Muppet movie, because Muppets was a TV show, a variety show.
Right. So you have all these different locations.
Yeah. It's really smart. Honestly.
The cameos are perfect too.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Martin.
That's right.
Mel Brooks. Yep. Richard Pryor. I mean, they're all just gold.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
For sure.
Number 2. Number 2.
What's your number 2?
Number 2 is The Muppets, 2011.
Really? Shocked.
I know. This was amazing. This was tough to pick.
So our 1 and 2. Our 1s and 2s are swapped.
Okay, so
my number 2 is Muppet Christmas Carol,
which is my number 1.
Right.
And your number 1.
My number 1 is the 2011 Muppets.
They're both the best.
They're both fantastic.
They're the best.
They are the two best. They're the 2 best for sure.
But again, the Christmas Carol. Number 1, watch it every year. It's an annual tradition.
I know. It's super good. I do too.
It's the perfect balance of Muppet silliness and a heartfelt story.
And I think that the Muppets is exactly the same.
You're right.
I think it does exactly the same thing. But I think it's more Muppet-centric, more Muppet-focused, and less focused on that story and that adaptation. To me, I think it encapsulates what Muppets is all about a little bit better.
Sure.
And it's a movie I can watch any time of the year.
Yeah.
I don't have to wait till Christmas to watch it. I can watch it whenever I want.
I feel like it's a summer movie for some reason.
Yeah, it's a little summery, you know. Small town.
Break.
Small town feels very springy.
The kids are getting off for spring break.
That's right.
We'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's a perfect.
It's just such a light, fun, warm-hearted movie that I just love.
It's great, but unfortunately, it doesn't feature the greatest film performance of all time by Michael Caine.
That's right.
So that's why it's number 1 for me.
Amy Adams, though.
Amy Adams, yeah, that's the thing.
She's a modern treasure.
I agree. That's it, folks. That's our ranking for the Muppet movies, all 8 of the Muppet movies. Let us know your ranking in the comments below. Give us your reviews for all the films. We reviewed them all. Why don't you go ahead and do the same thing? There's no limits on how many comments you can leave, so just leave as many as you want. Make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe. Carson and I are both on Letterboxd, so that is in the description below. Go to the links there and follow us on Letterboxd. We'll give you a follow back. Carson, this was a blast. We're huge Muppet fans. We haven't done a Muppet podcast ever.
I know.
And it was due time.
Absolutely due time.
So make sure you check about it.
We've talked about some of them during Christmas. We talked about Christmas Carol and stuff, but yeah, just to get really hammered in on Muppets and focus on that. Yeah, it was a great time.
Very clever, witty, fun movies I can enjoy anytime. Yeah. So again, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We're over 500 subscribers. Help us get to 1,000. That's our next big goal.
That's right.
So we're really excited. Make sure you check out all the videos if you're into physical media. We've got all kinds of physical media reviews on the channel right now. You can check out. We're coming into theaters and out of theaters all the time, reviewing and reacting to films.
That's right.
So check us out. Make sure you share this on social media. All of our social media are in the links below. Thank you so much again. See you next time right here on the Audio Book.
Mana.
Ba-ba-ba-da-ba.